Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Insights. Today, we go on a special trip. We learn about a very famous and very big building, the Great Wall of China. Close your eyes. Imagine a very long stone snake. It is many, many kilometers long. It goes over high mountains. It goes through deep valleys. And it goes across big, dry lands. This amazing building shows China's long history. It shows China's great power. And it shows the very hard work of its people. Many, many years ago, Chinese rulers started to build this huge wall. They had one clear idea: to keep their land and people safe. They wanted to stop bad people from coming in. Building the wall was not fast. It took many hundreds of years. Millions of people worked very, very hard to finish it. In this lesson, we will learn what the Great Wall really is. We will understand how hard it was to build. We will find out why it was so important. And we will see what important lessons it still teaches us today. This lesson will help you with your English listening practice and help you understand the formation of the Great Wall of China. Get ready for an exciting trip to Old China. Part 1. What is the Great Wall? A big building for safety. Let's start by learning what the Great Wall of China is. Many people think it is one long, unbroken wall. But this is not true. It is a very big group of many different walls. It has strong parts. It has tall watchtowers. And it has places for soldiers to live. All these parts connect together. They make one huge system to keep the country safe. These many parts were built by different Chinese rulers. This happened over many hundreds of years. Each ruler added new parts or fixed old ones. So, the wall is like a history book made of stone. It shows how China changed and grew strong for a very long time. It shows the power of different emperors. If you look at a map of China, you can see it. It looks like a giant stone snake. It goes across the north side of the country. It starts near the east, close to the big ocean. Then, it goes far inside the country. It goes deep into the dry western deserts. The wall's path is very hard to build on. It goes over the highest mountains. Sometimes it is so high it touches the clouds. It goes down into deep valleys where rivers flow. And it goes across wide, dry lands where you can only see sand for many miles. The wall uses the natural shape of the land. It uses mountains, hills, and even rivers to help its protection. This made it harder for enemies to cross or go around without being seen. The size of this Great Wall is amazing. It is very, very big. Some old books and new studies say its total length, with all its smaller walls, might be more than 21,000 kilometers, about 13,000 miles. To help you understand this, imagine walking around the Earth. The wall is almost half that distance. This very long length makes it one of the longest things ever built by people. It is so big that it's hard to imagine all of it. To walk its entire length would take many, many years. This shows how huge this old building project was. When people talk about the Great Wall today, they usually think about the best parts. These are the strongest parts. They were built more recently. These parts were made during the powerful Ming Dynasty, from the 14th to the 17th century. These parts are often made of strong, cut stone blocks and hard, dark bricks. They look very grand and old. They still stand strong today. The stone and brick parts are very strong. They often have wide paths on top. These paths let soldiers move easily and quickly along the wall. Soldiers could even ride horses or carry supplies. But many older parts of the wall do not look new and strong. These parts were built much earlier by different small kingdoms. They were often simpler. They were made from packed earth, wood, or even natural hills that were made stronger for defense. These older parts show how the wall began and grew. They were often not as strong as the later parts, but they worked for their time. This shows how the wall changed and became stronger over time. Part 2. Why they built it, for safety and power. Why did Chinese emperors spend so much time, money, and lives to build the Great Wall? The main reason was safety. For thousands of years, Old China was a rich land. It had good farms, busy cities, and valuable things like silk. But it faced constant danger. These dangers came from groups of people living in the big grasslands to the north. These groups, like the Mongols, were very good horse riders and very good fighters. They could move very fast. The Chinese people lived in one place. But these tribes moved with their animals. This made them hard to catch. It was hard to know where they would attack. They could appear quickly, attack, and then disappear fast. So, a big Chinese army could not always fight them in time. These northern tribes would make sudden, strong attacks into Chinese land. They would take food, steal animals, or even capture Chinese people. These attacks caused much fear and trouble. They were a big problem for the emperors. They threatened the heart of their empire. They stopped China from growing and being peaceful. So, the Chinese emperors wanted a clear, strong barrier. They wanted a physical line that enemies could not easily cross without being seen or stopped. The wall was made to be this defense. It was like a giant, strong fence. It separated their rich, settled land from the dangerous lands to the north. It was a smart plan to show their empire's borders. It made a strong line of defense. This gave peace and safety inside China. It let Chinese people grow without always fearing attacks. The Great Wall was more than just a big fence. It was a very smart military defense system. It was made to be active and quick to react in a war. It was not just a tall, solid wall. It had many other important parts that worked together. Along the wall, there were thousands of watchtowers. These towers were like small, strong castles. They were built on high places. This allowed soldiers inside to see very far away. This gave early warning of any enemies. The towers had small windows for looking out and openings for shooting arrows. They had strong tops to protect soldiers. If enemy soldiers were seen, Chinese soldiers would quickly send signals to warn others. This started a fast chain of communication over hundreds of kilometers. During the day, they would make thick smoke from fires on top of the towers. They used different amounts or colors of smoke to send messages about the enemy's size. At night, they would light big, bright signal fires. These smoke or fire signals traveled very fast along the wall. They went from one tower to the next. This gave important news about the enemy to the main army camps. This fast way to talk allowed the Chinese army to get ready quickly. They could move troops and supplies even if the enemy was far away. Also, there were many barracks, soldier camps, along and behind the wall. These were places where soldiers lived, where supplies were kept, and where soldiers trained. This meant many troops could stay near the wall. They were ready to defend parts or attack the enemy at any moment. This made sure there was constant watch and a quick way to fight back. The wall also helped emperors control their land and people. It made it harder for people to secretly leave China. This helped the government control the people. It also stopped people from leaving to avoid paying taxes. This helped emperors keep their power. With special gates along the wall, the government could control trade. This made it safer for merchants. It also made it easier for the government to collect taxes on goods. This brought more money to the central government. The wall helped keep order and peace inside the empire. It clearly showed where China's land was and helped follow its laws. More than just defense, the Great Wall was also a huge sign of power. Its very big size and the huge effort to build it showed how strong, rich, and organized the Chinese emperor and his empire were. It was a clear sign that China was a united, strong, and protected empire. It gave Chinese people a strong feeling of safety, pride, and being together. It showed the world that China was a great country that could protect itself. Part 3. Building the Wall, Hard Work and Many Hands. Building something as unbelievably big and hard as the Great Wall was an almost impossible job. It needed amazing hard work and the effort of many, many people for hundreds of years. This huge project started very early in Chinese history. Some smaller walls were built even before the famous first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the 3rd century BC. But it was Qin Shi Huang, a strong ruler, who united all of China, who told people to connect these small walls. He also told them to build many new parts. This made a much longer, unbroken line of defense. His idea was to make one strong wall to stop invaders. This was a very big change for China. After Qin Shi Huang, many other Chinese emperors and ruling families, dynasties, for the next 2,000 years kept building new parts. They also fixed old parts and made the wall longer. They learned and made building methods better over time. This long process means that the wall we see today is a mix of many different styles and materials. Historians think that millions of people worked on the Great Wall over these many centuries. This very large group of workers included different kinds of people, and they often worked in very bad and forced conditions. There were soldiers. They were often told to build parts of the wall when there was no war. This helped keep them busy and strong. There were farmers. The government sometimes forced them to leave their homes and farms. They had to work on the wall for some months or even a year. This was a required job for the empire. It was a very hard kind of national service. And there were even prisoners or common people who were sent to work on the wall as a punishment for crimes. They had no choice. The work conditions were incredibly difficult, dangerous, and often very harsh. There were no big, powerful machines like modern cranes or trucks. Workers used only their own strong bodies, simple hand tools, and smart but hard ways to build. They used basic hammers, sharp tools to cut stones, strong ropes to lift heavy things, simple baskets to carry earth, and wooden carts. They had to cut very big, heavy stones from mountains. Sometimes these places were very far away and hard to reach. Then, they had to move these very heavy stones and thousands of bricks up steep hills, along narrow mountain paths, and over dangerous land. They used their bare hands, their strong backs, and simple carts pulled by animals like oxen or donkeys. In some very difficult places, where paths were too steep or narrow, they even used goats, donkeys, or groups of people passing materials. This work was very tiring, never-ending, and often deadly. The materials used for the wall changed a lot. It depended on the local area and the time it was built. Builders used what they could find. In mountain areas, especially in the eastern parts of the wall, they used large shaped stones and hard baked bricks. These made the wall very strong. These bricks were often made locally in big ovens near the building sites. In other parts, like deserts where stones were rare, they used materials found nearby. These included packed earth, rammed earth, gravel layers, or mixed sand and local plants. They pressed layers of soil very tightly to build these earth parts, making them surprisingly strong. They also used wood for supports and watchtowers. Sometimes a special, very strong mix was used. It was made of sticky rice and quicklime or limestone. This worked as a very strong cement to hold the bricks and stones together. This showed their smart building skills. The challenges faced by the workers were huge and constant. They worked in extreme weather, very hot summers causing people to get sick from heat, and very cold winters with heavy snow and freezing temperatures causing frostbite. They also worked in dangerous places, high on cliffs, in deep valleys, or across dry deserts. Accidents like falling rocks, being too tired, or landslides happened often and were sometimes deadly. Getting enough food, clean water, and supplies for so many workers in faraway places was a huge problem for the government. Sadly, because of the very harsh conditions, lack of tools, many accidents, common sicknesses, and simply being too tired, many people got sick, were badly hurt, or even died while building the Great Wall. These lost lives are a sad reminder that the Great Wall is not just a building about safety. It is also a very sad sign of the amazing human effort, the incredible ability to keep going. But it was Qin Shi Huang, a strong ruler, who united all of China, who told people to connect these small walls. He also told them to build many new parts. And often the huge suffering that went into building this massive, old, and lasting structure. Part 4. Life on the Wall, Soldiers and Their Daily Jobs. Life on the Great Wall was incredibly difficult, hard, and often very lonely. This was especially true for the thousands of soldiers who guarded its long length day and night, every day for years. Many soldiers were always needed to walk and protect the wall. Their daily life was a hard struggle with many jobs and a deep feeling of being alone. Their main and most important job was to watch for any signs of enemy movement from the north. Soldiers spent countless hours every day, tirelessly on top of the wall or inside the watchtowers. They carefully looked at the northern land for any coming enemies. They had to be always awake and ready, because even a small mistake could lead to a fast and bad attack on villages and cities inside China. This would put many people's lives in danger. These soldiers had many other important and hard duties besides just watching. They were responsible for keeping their part of the wall in good condition. This meant they often had to make repairs. If parts of the wall were broken by bad weather, natural damage, or enemy attacks, they had to fix them. They used the same heavy materials and simple building methods as the first builders. This constant fixing was very important to keep the wall strong. They also had to make sure their army tools and weapons were always ready to use. Their lives and the safety of the empire depended on it. Good communication was very important. They often used the system of signal fires and smoke signals we talked about. These helped send messages quickly along the wall. Learning how to send and receive these signals correctly was very important. Even a small mistake or delay could cause big problems. For example, sending a false signal for enemies when there were none could make thousands of soldiers move for no reason. These quick signals let soldiers hundreds of kilometers away know what was happening almost instantly. The conditions for soldiers on the Great Wall were often very harsh. They lived in small, basic camps, either inside the watchtowers or very close by. These places gave little comfort. The weather was a constant and big problem. Summers brought very hot weather, causing heat sickness and tiredness. Winters were very cold with heavy snow and freezing temperatures, causing severe frostbite. Life was often lonely and very isolated. Soldiers were often in far-off parts of the wall, far from their families and friends. Food, clean water, and supplies had to be brought to them from faraway places. These long journeys made supplies often hard to get. Even with these hard conditions, Soldiers had to stay awake, alert, and ready to act at all times. They gave up much for the safety of their empire. Some parts of the wall, especially those built during the Ming Dynasty, were very strong and are still in good condition today. But other sections, in far-off areas, were simpler. They were sometimes made only of packed earth or have long since fallen into complete ruins. These broken parts, worn down by time, bad weather, and people not caring, show the power of nature. Even today, the remains of the wall silently tell the story of the brave, strong, and hard daily life of these countless soldiers who served as the first line of defense for the entire empire. The wall is not just a building, but a strong sign of human watchfulness, sacrifice, and unbreakable strength. Part 5. The Wall Today. A famous place and a mystery. Today, the Great Wall of China is one of the most famous and amazing places in the world. Millions of people from all over the world visit it every year. When you visit the wall, you will see that it looks very different in different places. You will find parts that are very strong, beautifully kept, and look almost new. These are the parts that have been carefully restored. Restored means they have been fixed and rebuilt to look as they did long ago. These well-kept parts are usually found closer to big cities like Beijing, for example, Badaling or Mutianyu. Visitors can walk on the wall, climb its steep steps, and imagine what life was like for the old soldiers. The views from the wall are often beautiful. You can see mountains and valleys. It gives you a strong feeling of history and China's beauty. However, not all of the Great Wall looks new and strong. Because the wall is so old and so incredibly long, most of it is still in different states of ruin. These parts are often badly damaged. Stones have fallen, bricks have broken, and earth walls have been slowly worn away by wind, rain, and time. Sometimes these old broken parts are even covered by thick wild plants or buried under sand in desert areas. They slowly return to nature. This natural decay shows the wall's great age and how impossible it is to perfectly maintain every kilometer of its huge length. Even with its current condition, protecting and restoring the Great Wall is a huge and ongoing job for the Chinese government and groups like UNESCO. They work hard to fix broken parts, make crumbling sections strong again, and make sure this very important part of world history stays safe and open for future generations. This continuous effort shows the wall's great value not just for China, but for all people in the world. Even after hundreds of years of study, the Great Wall still has some interesting mysteries. For example, people are still studying exactly how every part of the wall was built, especially in hard-to-reach places. How did the old builders move and place those huge stones or millions of bricks to the top of high mountains with only simple tools? The amazing things they built are still surprising. There might even be hidden parts of the wall that have not been found yet. One common myth, a story that is not true, about the Great Wall is that it is the only man-made thing you can clearly see from outer space with your own eyes. This is a very popular story, but it is actually not true. Astronauts who have been to space say it is very difficult or impossible to see the wall from space without special tools. This is because it is too narrow and its color often blends with the land. But even if you cannot see it from space, its huge size, its amazing history, and the great human effort it shows are truly impressive when you see it from the ground. The Great Wall stands today as a powerful reminder of China's long, complex history. It shows China's amazing ability to build huge and difficult projects, and it shows the lasting human effort needed to keep its important culture safe for many generations. It continues to amaze people around the world with its silent stories of the past and its remaining mysteries.